It's Dave Umphress with the Impact Real Estate Show, back for another segment of our This Might Be a Stupid Question. I get questions daily, several a week, where people start the question with, "This might be a stupid question, but dot dot dot." And I love answering those questions because it's not a stupid question. It just means you haven't done this before, or maybe you haven't done it recently enough to know how things work. And so the intention of this segment is to answer questions that people often start with that way. So the question we're going to tackle today is, what happens to my earnest money, or to my escrow deposit, or my down payment? It's called different things in different states, but most states call it earnest money. And the question I get a lot is, what happens to my earnest money? And so I think the first question would need to be addressed is, what is earnest money? So earnest money is a good faith deposit that a buyer puts down once a contract is accepted. Usually it's between 1% and 2%. We're seeing a little over 1% right now, roughly. So you're buying a $300,000 house. They're probably going to ask for $3,000 to $4,000 in earnest money. Some people choose to put down more because they feel like it strengthens their offer. They feel like it shows that they're very interested if they're willing to put down $5,000 to $10,000 in earnest money on that $300,000 house. Personally, I don't think it does a whole lot of good because it's obviously very protected. It's not like if the deal falls apart, the seller has a very high likelihood of hanging on to that money, and we'll talk about that as well. Maybe on this one, maybe on a different episode, but. And so the two questions kind of diverge there, where the first question is, what happens if you close, what happens to the earnest money? And then the other path would be, what happens if you don't close on the property? If you walk away from the property, what happens to the earnest money? So let's talk about if you close first. That's obviously the goal. So your earnest money, once you close on the property, that money becomes part of your down payment. So if you put $3,000 down on that house and you were having a $12,000 down payment, let's say, then you're only bringing $9,000 to closing as the rest of your down payment, because that $3,000 becomes part of your down payment. So that is the first path, is if you close on the property. Now the second, if you don't close on the property, and of course I'm not an attorney and I can't give legal advice here, but I can tell you that in almost every circumstance, as long as you are walking away from the contract within your dates and deadlines that are lined out, and every state is different, of course, you're going to want to check into this in your state, but in the contract, there will be several opportunities for a buyer to do their due diligence, things like inspection and appraisal and title work, and maybe there's an HOA that they're inspecting as part of their due diligence period. And all of these things have objection deadlines in them, where somebody can walk away from the contract before that deadline, and most of the time that your earnest money is then refunded to you as long as you terminate within that time period. So of course, you're going to talk to your agent about that and make sure your agent is on board if you are going to potentially terminate and be risking your earnest money. So I hope that's helpful. Please like the video, subscribe to the channel. There's no such thing as a stupid question. There's only people who are not bold enough to ask them. So if you have questions you want us to tackle in this segment, go ahead and send them to questions@impact.realestate, and we will tackle it in the next episode. Thanks for stopping by.